everybody, welcome to CCF's Dinner and a Message, also known as Digital DaaM. My name is Alyssa and I'm an intern here, and on behalf of all staff and interns, I just want to welcome you to Digital DaaM. We're not in the big blue house, but we're in Alyssa's tiny green room. We got a great program lined up for tonight. You're going to be hearing a message from Donnie. You're also going to be hearing some worship songs from Brian. You'll be able to see some other staff members' faces and some other interns' faces. But yeah, we just want to welcome you tonight to hear this message. We're so glad that you could join us and be a part of it. Later tonight, you'll have the opportunity to get in some breakout groups to have more of that community. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Justin, and he's going to say some ways to still stay involved within the community.
Hey CCF family, my name is Justin. I'm an intern here, bringing you the Offering and Missions Moment, which are some of the ways you can get involved and help out the community no matter where you are. We're still doing our weekly offering, obviously just through Venmo, which is at UGA-CCF. As always, we never want you to feel like you have to give to be a part of CCF. We are supported by generous alumni and churches who believe in what we do. However, the Bible tells us to give as an act of obedience and worship. And we want to encourage you to make that a part of your life, even when you have very little money. Typically, all the money you give goes to three awesome ministries: Kate and Andrew Owens with Global Scope, Fledge Fiamingo with Sons of Fares, and James Thompson at Grapevine. If you want to know more about them, check out the link in the description below or at ugaccf.com. But in light of the coronavirus and the hardships it's bringing on so many people, we decided that half of everything given will go to support a local organization called Northeast Georgia Food Bank in Athens. Many of y'all had volunteered there, and they're working hard to feed people who are food insecure in our community. Every week, we want to make sure to share our offerings with a group of people or a group working to meet people's immediate needs during these tough times, because we all need to help each other out. Thank y'all so much for giving, and every little bit helps. Another way you can help our community and our world is that we are having 48 half hours of prayer for those affected by these hard times and everyone in your communities. There will be multiple slots per time starting next Wednesday at 10 a.m. until Thursday at 10 a.m. All you have to do is follow the link in the description below, sign up for a 30-minute slot, and spend that time praying where you are. After you're done, just text the person next so we can all just be accountable. Finally, we want to be praying for you. If you'd like to leave a prayer request, follow the link in the description to our virtual prayer boxes, staff, interns, senior leaders, the backbones. We'll pray over these requests. If you'd like someone to contact you, leave a number and a backbone will call you and pray with you. Love and miss y'all so much. Now give it up for Roel Salinas for our announcement.
Hello everybody, my name is Roel Salinas and I am one of your graduate assistants, and I am here to do the announcements for the week. Some of you may have already noticed, but we have recently created a separate GroupMe to house all information for our Digital DaaM program. We're doing this because we know that sometimes in the regular GroupMe, information can get very easily buried, as many other people are sharing questions, thoughts, and prayer requests throughout the week. So in creating this separate one, we're hoping that the information can be very easy to find and readily available to anyone at any point during the day. So with that, we're asking that please students do not post in our Digital DaaM GroupMe, because with that one, we're wanting to just keep the information pretty clear and concise, but we still have our main GroupMe in which you're able to share all those thoughts, share all those funny pictures you find, and still find ways to connect. And in addition to that, we have many other ways to connect during this time. I know a lot of us are being told that we must socially distance physically, but there are still a lot of great ways in which we connect digitally. And this includes our Bible studies. Our Bible studies are still going as planned, so if you want any information on specifics, you can always text an intern or look at the website to kind of see what we have going on. It is never too late to join. Feel free to jump in at any time. A lot of us would be very happy to have you in there. In addition to Bible studies, we also have many different fellowship groups going on. These include a vast array of things for very different people with very different interests, such as an art group, a meme group, and a group that is trying to do the Calcia 5K running thing. I have been in that group since the beginning, and I have not gone running once. So, jump in at any point. Now, all the links for these various groups have been collected, and they can be found in the description of this video. So if any of those things interest you, there are plenty others that I haven't listed, but feel free to check those out. At this point in the year, we are also excited to announce that we have our year-end program that is coming up that we call Yes. So please mark your calendars for the 24th, because we will be sharing information soon on what that is going to look like. Yes typically stands for year-end steak soiree. So again, while we will not be meeting to consume steaks together, we will still find a way to come together and say goodbye to our leaving seniors, say goodbye to our leaving interns, and as well as welcome and announce next year's interns. So very exciting stuff. You don't want to miss it. Please stay tuned for details on that. So with that, seniors, if you are graduating either in the spring, so I guess in May, or at the end of the summer, please reach out to Sam Cargill. We are trying to kind of collect some information so that we can get some stuff together and some resources. There will also be a link in the description for a Google form where you can say your name and let us know that you are graduating. So that, as well as our link for our prayer boxes, which we are doing virtually, can also be found in the description. And now, we are going to move into the message section of Digital DaaM with our lead pastor, Donnie Holliday.
Hey CCF, welcome to another Digital DaaM. Here we are doing this again, this time coming at you from my dining room, just to change the background up a little bit. Hey, I hope your first week of online classes is going well. I'd have to wonder how that professor who said, no laptops in my class, is handling this, but we're all adjusting. And so I hope classes have started off really well for you. Well, hey, my name's Donnie, if I haven't got a chance to meet you before, and just really excited that you're here as we continue our theme of Inside Out in our new Digital DaaM format. All school year long, we've been going through a book in the Bible. It's called Luke. It's one of the books about Jesus' time on earth. They're sometimes called the Gospels. Gospel is just a fancy word that means good news. And Luke writes his gospel in a really interesting way. And Inside Out just kind of makes sense for us to use for our theme, because there are times when Luke's writing and he keys on things where Jesus is talking about and doing things where it's exactly what you would expect. That what is put out there is a direct implication, reflection, I guess is a better word, of what's going on inside. But there are other times, especially like the passage we're reading tonight, where Jesus has really flipped the script, where he's coming out from an inside out, like upside down, completely unexpected way. And so we're going to be looking at a little bit more of a passage tonight that looks that way, where things are kind of flipped, not exactly what you would expect, but it's a really good passage, really excited about this. So I'm going to pray and then get going. Hey God, thank you for today. I thank you that we can keep doing this Digital DaaM this way, and I just pray that you would be with me now as I speak for a little bit. And I just pray that this would be just a good few minutes, that we'll get some good conversations later on in our breakout groups, God. We love you. We thank you for Jesus. Please keep us all safe and healthy. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So one thing that is interesting to me is how over time the meanings of words change. Not just a little bit in some cases, but completely and totally. See, when I was in college, you did not want to be the GOAT. Because see, the GOAT back in those days, especially when it came to athletics or games or whatever, was typically somebody who would cost their team the game. Maybe it was a wide receiver for a football team that dropped a wide open touchdown pass, or maybe it was a basketball player who missed an easy layup, or a baseball player who booted an easy ground ball that would have been the last out of the game, but instead the other team came back and won. And you didn't want to be the GOAT. It was a bad thing. But now, the GOAT, capital G, capital O, capital A, capital T, the greatest of all time. Now there's all sorts of debates as to who that is. When it comes to sports, what's the greatest movie of all time, greatest artist, greatest song, band, whatever. But when I said GOAT, when I said greatest of all time, chances are something or somebody popped into your mind. And my question would be not who was it or what was it, but why was it who or what it was? What do we think of when we think of the greatest? I think a lot of times it goes to awards, achievements, accolades. It seems like we're trying to quantify this really big nebulous idea of the greatest, to the point that sometimes, y'all, we even say things like, well, that person's the greatest to never whatever. Like a lot of times you'll talk about NFL quarterbacks. He's the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Or maybe she's the greatest actress to never win an Oscar, or something like that. And then there's always these lists of the 100 greatest movies of all time, 100 greatest bands. And here's the thing about those. They're just somebody's opinion because they're always debated. Anytime a list like that comes out, there's always people like, what? How could you put this person above that person? That's insane. But greatness is this idea that keeps coming up. And I think at the end of the day, y'all, everybody wants to be great. Maybe not in everything. Chances are you're in the middle of an online class right now that if you get a C, you'll be quite happy with. And that's okay. Sometimes C's are just fine. By the way, remember, C minus is not the same as a C. Just, a little piece of advice there. Remember that. But there's some things, greatness is what we're after. Greatness is the goal. And this isn't a new phenomenon, y'all. In fact, Jesus' closest followers show on a number of occasions that they're concerned about being the GOAT, that they wanted to be the greatest. And Jesus' response, we're going to look at a passage where this happens. Jesus' response is so completely just inside out. But I think it's also really helpful because it makes greatness attainable. Sometimes I think that's why even though we're like, well, greatness would be cool, but it's really hard to get there. I can't get there. But Jesus, the way he looks at greatness in this passage, he makes it completely attainable. And if there was one thing you could do, to be great, one thing you could do to have a 4.0 this semester, wouldn't you do it? If it was just about doing one thing? I think we would, and I know your question right there is, yeah, but Donnie, it's not ever that easy. But what if it was? Because I think in this passage with Jesus, we see that it actually can be as simple as just one thing. So it's Luke 22, verses 24 through 27, and it reads this way. A dispute arose among them, that's Jesus' closest followers, as to which of them was to be regarded as the greatest. And he, Jesus, said to them, the kings of the Gentiles, those are non-Jewish people, exercise lordship over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as one who serves. For who is greater, one who reclines at table or one who serves? Is it not the one who reclines at table? But I am among you as the one who serves. Now, reclines at table I know seems kind of weird, especially if you were taught that you're supposed to sit up straight at the dinner table. But that was just how they ate back in the day. Okay, I remember leaning on their left elbow on these low couches with the table in the middle. So that's what that means, reclining at table. But this is fascinating, y'all, because this is not the first time, even in Luke's gospel, that this argument has come up. Luke 22:24, but a dispute arose among them about who was the greatest, is almost word for word Luke 9:46. It's the exact same argument. Apparently, who was the greatest was a common argument among Jesus' closest followers. But the context of this one in chapter 22 is fascinating. And if you haven't heard me speak much before, or if you just found us because you were randomly on YouTube and you found Digital DaaM, then okay, cool. But let me just tell you this about context. When it comes to me and studying the Bible, the three most important things about understanding something in the Bible are context, context, and context. So the context here is hugely important. Y'all, this happens during what's called the Last Supper. It's Jesus having dinner for the last time with his disciples before he's going to be betrayed by one of them, a man named Judas, before he's going to be denied by another one, a man named Peter, before all of them are going to flee and he's going to be arrested and eventually killed. That's what's going on with this. And actually, the way Luke writes this argument literally takes place right in between Jesus predicting Judas's betrayal and Peter's denial. And right in the middle, we have this discussion, this argument about who's the greatest. If you're familiar with this story, and if you're not, it's okay, I'm going to unpack this point. But if you're familiar with this story, especially John's account of one of the other Gospels, one of the other books about Jesus' time on earth is written by a man named John. And in John's account of the Last Supper, he adds something that none of the other three do. He adds Jesus washing everybody's feet. And I really like the idea that this dispute arises. Jesus says what he says and then says, I'm among you as the one who serves. And then he gets up, pours some water into a basin, and goes and washes everybody's feet. See, they asked Jesus about greatness, and Jesus talks about service. But he's not changing the subject. He's just defining greatness in terms of service. And y'all, I can give you some more of my thoughts on that and talk for a few more minutes about that. But quite honestly, with what's going on here in this passage in Luke 22, I have never heard it explained as well as I've heard it explained by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in a sermon called The Drum Major Instinct. Now, to be honest, the drum major instinct is actually not about this passage in Luke 22. It's actually about a passage in Mark. But the idea is very much applied. If you're interested in seeing the whole thing, you can Google it and see a transcript of it. You can search on YouTube and hear an audio recording of it now. The whole thing, not now. Don't do that. Pause. Go do that. No, stay here. But later you can do that. But I just want to share part of it with you because it says more about what's going on in this, and it says it better than honestly I ever could. Now, y'all, it's a little bit of a lengthy reading. I'll be honest with you. It is about 3 minutes long, but it's just so good. I wouldn't waste your time for 3 minutes reading something that I didn't think was just spectacular. So this is an excerpt from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Drum Major Instinct sermon. What was the answer that Jesus gave these men? It's very interesting. One would have thought that Jesus would have condemned them. One would have thought that Jesus would have said, you are out of your place. You are selfish. Why would you raise such a question? But that isn't what Jesus did. He did something altogether different. He said in substance, oh, I see. You want to be first. You want to be great. You want to be important. You want to be significant. Well, you ought to be. If you're going to be my disciple, you must be. But he reordered priorities and he said, yes, don't give up this instinct. It's a good instinct if you use it right. It's a good instinct if you don't distort it. Don't give it up. Keep feeling the need for being important. Keep feeling the need for being first. But I want you to be first in love. I want you to be first in moral excellence. I want you to be first in generosity. That is what I want you to do. And so Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. And the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve, but stay in school, kids. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Now, what's fascinating is after that, Dr. King then does a very short biography of Jesus, where he says that for the first 30 years of Jesus' life, he lived in complete obscurity, in a no-name town that was barely a map dot, working with his hands. And then for about 3 years, he was a traveling preacher. But during that time, he didn't write any books, he didn't win any awards, didn't hold any offices, didn't earn any degrees. He never traveled further than about 200 miles from his home. And yet, Dr. King would go on to describe him this way. 19 centuries have come and gone, and today he stands as the most influential figure that ever entered human history. All of the armies that have ever marched, all of the navies that have ever sailed, all of the parliaments that have ever sat, all of the kings that have ever reigned put together have not affected the life of man on this earth as much as that one solitary life. The one who we read earlier said of himself in Luke 22:27, I am among you as the one who serves. See, Jesus was and is the GOAT because he was and is the ultimate servant. Jesus forsook his will for the well-being of others. That's what made him great. That's what made him great. And here's the thing I want you to know. Those of you that are sheltering in place, that are socially distancing, even though it's about to drive you out of your minds, it's what makes you great too. Because you're serving others. It's crazy, but this time in the world, if you want to be great, stay home. Because let's be honest, y'all, most of us aren't at high risk of COVID-19. But many people are. And I'm one of those. I'm immunosuppressed. I have a condition called ulcerative colitis. It's kind of like Crohn's disease. Basically, my immune system decided my colon's the enemy. So the treatment for that is medicine that weakens my immune system. So if you're sheltering in place, and if you're socially distancing, I want to say thank you. Because whether you realize it or not, you're serving me and people like me. And that makes you great. If you're not doing those things, you're missing a really easy opportunity to be great. Because greatness and service are the same thing as far as Jesus is concerned. Now, y'all, I know it sucks. Okay, Wednesday of this week, I had to go to my gastroenterologist's office for one of my treatments. It was the first time I left my house in 19 days, not including a couple walks around the neighborhood and stuff. 19 days. It's not fun. I get that, but the other day, Cassidy, one of our interns, used an analogy. She said it's like when you're in the classroom and the teacher's waiting for everybody to get quiet. You know, once everybody does what we're supposed to do, then we can move on. So those of you that are doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're sheltering in place, and you're socially distancing, thank you. First of all, thank you. But second of all, you're being great. You are doing a great work. There's this passage in an Old Testament book, one of the books in the Bible before Jesus' time on earth, where a man named Nehemiah, he's helping build a wall. And somebody's like, hey, I need to talk to you. He's like, I am doing a great walk and I cannot come down. A great work and I cannot come down. Here's the thing, y'all. Those of you that are sheltering in place, you can just tweak that just a little bit. You can say, I am doing a great work and I cannot come out. That's really what you're doing. So thank you for that. You're going to get a chance in your breakout groups later tonight to talk more about that, to brainstorm other ideas where you can serve while you're sheltering in place. But don't miss that you're serving by sheltering in place. That's a way you're being a servant. That's a way you're being great. And so y'all can stop there. I can say, be great, be a servant. But there's one more thing you will be if you will be those two things. You will be blessed. I want to tell you one real quick story as I wrap up. At the church I worked at before I started working at CCF, there was a lot of old couples, and one was this couple, Ed and Joy. And they'd been married for, I think, a little over 60 years when Ed passed away. And a few weeks after he passed away, myself and Adam, the other campus minister, the lead campus minister at the time, he and I got a few students together and we went over to Joy's house just to see her, just to spend some time with her, just make sure she was doing okay and just let her know that we loved her and we were there for her. As we were getting ready to leave, I said, Miss Joy, we're gonna pray. I said, we want to pray for you. Would that be okay? And she said, that will be lovely. She said, but when you're done, I'm going to pray for these college students. And y'all, when she was done, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And y'all, she didn't pray for herself. She didn't pray for comfort. She didn't pray for her to be okay with Ed's passing. She prayed for those college students. She prayed that they would come to see the plans that God had for them. She prayed that they would grow to love Jesus more than anything. And she prayed that God would bless them, protect them, and watch over them. And obviously, I've never forgotten that. We went there to be a blessing, and we ended up being blessed. So if you'll be great and be a servant, you will find that you will be blessed. Now, y'all, you've heard me say before, don't stress out too much about grades. C's do get degrees, and I believe that is true. But when it comes to following Jesus, forget that. Let's be great. Let's be servants. And if we'll be that, we will also be blessed. So may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all, so we can be great, be servants, and be blessed. Let's pray. God, thank you for Jesus' example. Thank you that he showed what true greatness was by being a servant. Thank you that he put us before himself, God. Help us to serve in that way. Help us to be great in that way, God. We love you. We thank you for Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen. Hey, well, CCF, I hope you'll jump into some of the breakout groups we've got going on tonight. You can find links to all of that in the description of the YouTube video. Just a great way to continue the conversation, kind of hang out at least virtually with other CCFers, and just go a few steps further in this, and just have an opportunity to talk and share and brainstorm ideas. Okay, I hope the first week of online classes is going well. I can't wait to see y'all. Love you.
What's up, friends? I hope that you enjoyed that time with Donnie and his great message. Just wanted to remind you real quick that I put together a list of songs that I think went well with kind of what Donnie had to say and what's going on in our lives right now. Made a Spotify playlist, made a YouTube playlist, and thanks to the wonderful Emma Gilbert, we have an Apple Music playlist as well. So feel free to just take some time this week, listen to those songs that I put forth. And now we're going to have Alyssa to close us out.
All right, that concludes the video portion of tonight, but the night's not over. We still have breakout groups. Click the description box down below. There'll be a link to find out more information about that. Get signed up. There's all the different platforms and different times. It's going to be a great night, and you'll be able to connect with people. As always, continue to love God, love people, staff and interns, backbone, senior leaders. We're here for you. We want to talk to you. Reach out. Keep loving people. We'll see you next week right at the same spot. Love you guys.